Hi everybody! Welcome to episode 9 of Dixon Drawing Class! Yay! I have good news, we are over 1/4 of the way through this class. Yay! 1/4 of the way through! That's great news. It only means 3/4 more and you will be on your way to drawing some super cool stuff. So today we are going to be talking about drawing feet. Now in a lot of ways drawing feet is a lot easier than drawing hands, but in a lot of ways it's a little bit harder. Let's talk about this. So one of the ways that drawing feet is easier than drawing hands is that your fingers move in all directions, but your toes pretty much only move in one direction, right? So you can pretty much just draw them as a block, right? Maybe your big toe sometimes moves in a different direction. But for the most part, you know, they're all in the same place. So that makes it a little easier. What makes it a little bit harder is that the feet is kind of, or the foot is just kind of a funny shape, right? With your hands, you can say, okay, it's a square, then it's another square, then it's your thumb, hands like this, okay? So that's pretty easy. With the feet, it's more, if you're drawing it from the top view, it's like a rectangle. And this is a very simple way to draw it. But if we break it down even more, we would say it's a circle like this, and then it's kind of an oval like this. You kind of have to move it like this. You have your toe like this, then you have your other toes like this. Okay, and it's just something that we don't draw very often. We don't draw feet very often, we draw hands a lot more. Let's do a side view of a foot. We do the circle here. Now the side view, we just do 2 circles. This heel is bigger than the other one. Kind of arches up like this. Alright, and it slopes down like that, right? Some people treat drawing the foot as drawing a wedge. All right, that's one way to do it. Okay, but for the most part, heel, ball of the foot, toes. All right, if you're drawing a foot head on, it arches up like this, so it's kind of almost a triangle, like that. Let's say this is the leg. And then you draw the toes, like that. Okay. If you're drawing it in high heels, it really arches down like this. Okay, so there's some shorthand methods to drawing the feet. And I would recommend going on Pinterest and looking up all the different variations of feet and art reference of feet and practice drawing those this week. Okay, it's kind of a short lecture, but we are going to be drawing Tarzan today. And if you notice, ooh, he's got some serious feet going on. I'm excited. Let's do it. Okay, so if you take a look at the drawing sheet that we have here, we have him in a pretty complex position. All right, this is probably the hardest drawing that we have done so far. Woohoo, a challenge, yay, it's gonna be so much fun. Let's begin, and remember how we always begin, we try and begin with the biggest circle. If we take a look at the biggest circle, it is his shoulders. Now he's at an interesting angle here, and so this is actually his rib cage if we're viewing it from the top and at an angle. If we look at it on the page layout, it's actually pretty small. I would say it's maybe this big, okay? Let's go ahead and draw that oval at an angle. Okay, and when you're happy with that, I would say let's do the hips next. Okay, we see the tip of the oval here. The hips are just a little bit down from here. We mark them by doing this circle. The circle is not too big. We can measure it by saying it would fit in right about there. So this is about right. Okay, once we've got that, why don't we connect his arching back? All right, just to give us a sense of movement. It's kind of slouched over, crouched over like this. All right, and let's do his head. It looks like his head and his front shoulder and his front knee are almost the exact same size, but let's do his head. And if we mark it, we can mark, I would say it hits about right here. It's almost in the center of this, not quite. Maybe about right here. And it looks like this line almost cuts it right in half. All right, so let's see if we can draw this in half. It's just slightly smaller than this. And if you take a look, we drew Elsa last week, and her head was nearly as big as her chest. Well, Tarzan has a much smaller head than his chest, and the reason is they want him to look a lot tougher. So a lot of times, the cartoon men have their heads smaller, and you'll find that when we draw Superman, he has a really small head in comparison to his muscles, because we want the muscles to look a lot bigger. Okay, so we have the head. Let's go ahead and do this chin, and it might be best just to kind of pull this arching line down. Be sure to measure that from his chin to that circle. It doesn't look like it's quite as twice as big, but it's about here. Yeah, I'd say that's right. We can kind of just connect a line. He has some really angular features, all right, to the point where they almost bow in. His little ear. All right, and we can just draw a mask for his hair. We'll worry about those details later. But it might just help to block things out if you draw a quick mask for his hair. And I think maybe this is even just a little bit longer. Okay, let's get his knees and shoulders in. Look at this shoulder, it's almost touching these circles here. That makes it pretty easy, right? Just fit it right inside his chest. Now if we take a look at the back shoulder, totally covered by his hair. It's smaller than this circle, so be sure to do it. And it looks like I'm just drawing it a little bit off. Okay, it's got the circle right there. Woohoo! Now that we've got the shoulders, let's move on to the knees. Look at this. This knee is almost, the knee circle is almost as big as his hips. Tarzan has some pretty small hips. Looks like it's just a little bit smaller, and it looks like it just barely touches right there. Let's draw it. Okay, and I would say, yeah, it's up a little bit more. It's drawing it just a little bit too low. Okay. Let's move on to the elbows and the arms. All right, so we have kind of this straight line between it just to give us some equilibrium. Let's draw this back circle of the elbow. Looks like it just pulls back a little bit from this circle. Don't draw it too far. And then moves up like this. We have this kind of thing going on with his hands. All right, it'll help if you draw the line first and then flesh it out. Okay, so we're doing that. And then let's draw this circle. Look at how close it is to this back line. Relation to the circle, relation to the chest, relation to this circle. Just really measure things out. And I would say it is about, yeah, about right here. Okay. All right, and then kind of curves over. We have his hand doing this thing right here. And if you want, you can draw the square. It's not quite a square, it's a little bit more of a, what's the word, trapezoid? A little bit more like this. But this should give you a basic idea. We have the thumb that kind of touches down right there. Okay, so this is good hand practice too. He's got his hand in an interesting position and back there too. But take a look at his feet. Whoa, this guy uses his feet to climb. He uses his feet to slide. He has some very dynamic feet. Okay, we're going to break these down a little bit. Let's flesh out the legs really quick. We have this line of action, and then it shoots down like this. And then I would say his foot begins just below his hand right there. All right, and if we're moving back to this back leg, let's draw this knee. It's a fair ways out from this knee. We have the foot tuck in under here, and it looks like the foot's right here. Okay, so let's draw these simple shapes just to block them out, and then we'll break them down and spend some more time, TLC, some tender loving care on these feet. Okay. We have this foot, it's marked by a triangle. This foot, because it's at a different angle, we're marking with a rectangle. Remember, we do a triangle if we're facing straight on. We're facing this foot straight on. So we're doing a triangle here. All right. Once again, this foot's more like a wedge. Okay, let's move in. Talk a little bit about these feet. Let's mark the ankle here. Tarzan has some seriously groovy muscles, and we can fill those in. Check out those calves, my word. All right, this is kind of going in like this, and he kind of has a muscle here. There's scientific names for these muscles, which I do not know, but you will probably learn if you ever take a figure drawing class. Okay, now do you remember how, if we're looking things straight on, we kind of draw the balls of the feet like a long oval, and then this one would be back here, the heel of the foot right here. And you know what? Let's mark off the line here, and let's actually draw an oval to mark that toe. Alright, we have the toenail. Oh, wow, he's got quite a gap between his big toe and his other toes. That's okay. That sometimes happens. I think that's called crow's feet. Now you know. Okay, this kind of goes up because we see a little bit of his heel right here, so there would be a little bit of a rounding curve there. Whew, complex foot, but we broke it down. It almost looks a little bit like a hand, doesn't it? You can see the thumb, the fingers. You know, one thing that you'll notice is a lot of things cross over. A lot of bone structure and things. When we're talking about drawing animals, you'll discover that a lot of the things, a lot of the way they're built is a lot the way humans are built. Okay, let's move on to this back foot, which is tucked behind. Let's see. Let's draw the muscle here. We have the knee here. It kind of is at an angle. And then this looks like, goes like this. Look at how close his chin is to the top of his thigh here. All right, we can, while we're at it, why don't we fill this little guy out, which is the top of his forefront thigh. Okay, wow, really dynamic position we've got here. Okay, let's focus on this. Now remember, circle for the heel, and when we're drawing a heel, draw the circle, make sure that it's just a little bit apart from the angle, if that makes sense. So we don't draw exactly under, we push it out a little bit. Okay, and we do this. Okay, set an angle, and so we do this. We have his toes here, so go ahead and draw that in one block, and then draw this toe in one block. Okay, so you can kind of see the form of this, how it works. Yeah, that's not so bad, right? This foot is smaller than this foot, of course, because this foot is in the background, so it's perspective, or the back leg. So we've got some perspective going on. Okay, whew, a little bit tricky with the feet. I don't think that ankle's right. Let's move on to the hands, and we'll just fill them out really quickly. All right, remember the thumb kind of has this thing going on. It looks like Tarzan's thumb, he has some very square digits. So square and angular digits. It goes like this. Sometimes when you're filling out muscles, it helps to fill them out with a circle, so you can see we have this muscle. You can kind of fill it out by drawing a circle up here and give it some shape and form. All right, maybe the same right here. Got the back of his muscle. This is some interesting muscles we've got going on here. All right, we have the divot for his collarbone, rib cage kind of going on here. His chest, we have his little loincloth. Yikes, can't forget that. You don't want Tarzan to be indecent. All right, let's fill out this back arm. And we can fill out the muscle kind of the same way. Just like this, we have an oval. If I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause the video and just fill it out. Take however long you need to take. Let's get this straight. If you can see how straight this side is. All right. We've got his fingers down here. They're kind of splayed a little bit. At the angle, you can actually only see two fingers. The rest are tucked behind the other fingers. Hey, that makes it a little easier, right? Okay, hey, that's not so bad. All right, what are we missing? Maybe his face. Let's fill in his face. Look at where his eyes are, and let's fill in circles for his eyes. Tarzan has a pretty pronounced brow. You can see that. Kind of goes like that. Looks like he's scowling a little bit. He has a little bit of an arrow point nose. His mouth, he has a kind of a tall chin. His mouth is just tucked almost right beneath his nose. All right, let's fill out this hair. If you can see where it is in relation to the circle. we go. He has some serious dreadlocks going on. Woohoo! So draw them in terms of shape instead of in terms of individual strands of hair. Because he ain't got that. He got it in big lumps. And then we have a little dangling one. Okay, hey, not bad. You ready to clean this up? Let's do it. Right! Yay! We did a Tarzan! He looks awesome! How did yours turn out? Good? I hope so. Go ahead and color it. That one was a tricky one. I hope you didn't get discouraged. I hope you plugged through. You probably have a really awesome piece of artwork now. So now it is time for our question and answer portion of the show. Yay! This is part of the show where I answer a question. So this is a question that I'm getting asked a lot ever since I got mad at people and told them to make time when it comes to practice drawing. I'm having people say, how do I make time to practice drawing? This is actually a really good question, so I want to help you out with that. The first thing I would recommend is to carry a sketchbook around with you wherever you go. Carry a sketchbook. Carry a sketchbook. All right? Fill it all up with drawings. All right, now it could be drawings from pictures, it could be drawings from life, probably a mix of both. I would recommend actually printing out some pictures. If you don't have access to a phone where you can look at pictures, I would recommend printing out pictures that you want to draw and taking them with you. And as you're carrying this sketchbook everywhere, you're going to find time everywhere to practice drawing. You're going to find time during lunch. You're going to find time after you finish a test in class, bring out your sketchbook and start practicing drawing. You're going to find time, if you're like me, I draw during meetings while I'm listening. You're going to find time while you're watching TV with the family or something. There's just lots of time that you can make to practice drawing if you have your sketchbook with you and pictures that you can draw. If you want to get really serious, and I hope that you do, I would recommend waking up possibly an hour earlier every morning and working at practicing drawing. Just really concentrated and focused effort at practicing drawing, or doing it right when you come home from school, or just setting aside an hour of time just to practice drawing. And usually it's helpful too, if you're working on a big art project, it's helpful to practice drawing before you start working on that project, because then you get the chance to warm up. Practicing drawing will help you warm up, and it really does help you warm up. You'd be like, what does that even, it helps you warm up, and it helps a lot. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I will endeavor to try to answer them. I'm so glad that you joined us for this episode of Dixon Drawing Class. Your homework is to practice drawing feet in all angles and positions and types and everything that you can. So that'll be good practice to do. All right, see you next week. Bye-bye.